Thank you for joining the NMH at 1 broadcast as we continue to bring you news, views, and stories, both local and international, ranging from current affairs to community stories, sports, and economic news.
Here's what to expect in this lunch hour. 600 million Namibian dollars condoms and medical supply tenders are not yet awarded, says a Central Procurement Board. 13-year-old girl gives birth to premature baby at Oshikuku Hospital. 5-year-old succumbs to injuries sustained from a donkey kick.
Stick around for these stories and more, read to you by Anna Raizakweyo and Ashwin Berry.
Active Kids is an initiative under the MyZone brand that aims to provide exciting and easy activities and fun stories. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact zone@synergy.com.na. Active Kids, where we actively invest in your future.
Now in today's midday news update is a pertinent update from last week. A 5-year-old boy identified by police as Tangi Junior Penge or Make Shiweda has succumbed to injuries he sustained from a donkey kick. The incident happened on Sunday the 15th of January in the Mahangu field owned by the boy's grandmother at Enoleo village in Etai constituency of Omusati region. It's alleged that the deceased was kicked by a donkey on the forehead in the Mahangu field and sustained serious injuries. The deceased was then taken to St. Martin's Hospital in Oshikuku for treatment and later transferred to Oshakati Intermediate Hospital in a critical condition, where he then passed away, according to a police report.
Leave us a comment on our social media platforms to engage with these stories. Visual news coming up after the break.
The Agenda is a weekly national affairs interview program hosted every Sunday by Namibian Sun editor Toyvon Jabela, featuring a panel of high-profile newsmakers, analysts, and experts. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact agenda@synergy.com.na. The Agenda, focused on today's conversation.
Heading into the visual news, Amon Gavetene, the Central Procurement Board of Namibia administrative head, explains that the 600 million Namibian dollar tender for medical supplies, including condoms, has not yet been awarded, and disgruntled bidders still have recourse as stipulated by the Procurement Act. They also said they are considering local manufacturing. Gavetene further stated that the amount of the controversial 600 million Namibian dollar medical supplies tender is likely to change. Jemima Bekas was there.
In terms of the Public Procurement Act of 2015 as amended, that is not in award, that is in intention to award. And on that basis, any bidder has 7 days to consider the executive summaries, and if he or she is not pleased with the outcome and the process of the procurement, would then bring within that 7 days approach the Central Procurement Board for reconsiderations. And that is the process where we are today. So what you see out there is not a final award. And basically having reflected on that, and the very same basis why that process is set out like that, is basically to enable any kind of a bidder who have an interest in the bidding process to raise any issues if he thinks that he or she has been unfairly disqualified, or either any bidder has been also unfairly awarded. So this is the process where we are, and this is not a final award. And I think it's high time that as media houses, we get this process right and we understand it right, and then we use the right language when we are reporting. So as I have said, that the notice for selection of procurement of award is not a final award. and may change upon the reconsiderations of any issues that may be raised by bidders during this standstill period. And as we are speaking now, we have received a number of reconsiderations applications, and as a board, we are giving attention to all these applications and would obviously provide the necessary feedback. At any bidder, those bidder we have applied for reconsiderations, if they are not happy with the responses that we give them, they still have an opportunity then to file an application with the review panel. And if they are not happy with the outcome of the review panel, then they can file an application with the High Court. If they are not happy with the decision of the High Court, they can file an application with Supreme Court.
The founder of Monarch Lifeguard, Martin Muyenga, shares his expertise on how to keep yourself and your family safe at the pool or around water bodies. He spoke to Desiree Casas. Let's have a look.
First thing you needed to consider or to put in consideration when you come across the pool is the safety, your safety. Please, please tell your kids not to run around the pool. And one thing again you need to look into is find out the depth of the pool. Which side is the shallow side, which side is the deep side. Upon you realize that, then you are safe to go. And how to enter the safe way and how to come out the safe way. I will demonstrate. Most of the time there are stairs on the pool which you need to use. Make sure they are slippery. Just make sure you are fine with it and comfortable. Relax, go in. If you cannot swim, just be playing on the shallow side. I will demonstrate how to enter. You use the stairs when you are entering the pool. And make sure you stay within the shallow side if you are not a competent swimmer. If you are a swimmer, then yes, you can use the deep side. But make sure, again, you don't need to swim alone. You must always swim with someone. These are the people to help you in water emergency. And these are the people to call for lifeguard during your water difficulty. You enter using the stair, you come out using the deep side if you are comfortable. If not, you use again the stair for coming out. And make sure not to leave toys around the pool. These toys, they attract kids. Kids, they will follow the toys and they will end up drowning. That is the main cause of drowning in kids. The other thing again is know your limit. If you cannot swim, please stay away from water. Relax where there is a shallow water. Another thing again, learn how to swim. You cannot be water safety if yourself you cannot swim, if yourself not comfortable with water. Learn how to swim the proper way, learn how to float the proper way. Enroll for swimming lesson. These are the life-saving skill which you need. It will really save you and your loved one from drowning. And again, swim at the pool where it's supervised by the lifeguard. Those are the guys who take care of your safety.
Now, a 13-year-old girl still has not fully recovered from giving birth to a premature baby at Oshikuku Hospital in Omusati region. This story from the Namibian Sun leads us into the newspaper review after the break.
AgriMonitor is jou weeklikse landboukundige program wat jou die jongste nuus in die landbouverwante bedryf en onderwerpe wat daaraan gekoppel is, bring. Vir enige advertensie of nuusverwante navraag, kontak agrimonitor@synergy.com.na.
Heading into the newspaper review, the Namibian Sun reports on its front page that a 13-year-old girl Ndamona still has not fully recovered from giving birth to a premature baby at Oshikuku Hospital in Umsati region. The father of the child, 18-year-old Ngishidimba Barnabas, who was arrested after the birth of the child last year and has denied being the father of the child. Ndamona insists that she and Barnabas were in a relationship and that he is her boyfriend and has asked social workers to have him released from custody. Namibia's statutory rape law is violated when an individual has sexual relations with a child under the age of 16, and on conviction, a guilty person can be fined up to 40,000 Namibian dollars or face up to 10 years in prison or both. Now, the paper's page 3 highlights that the 276 Rundu cash and carry employees who were suspended earlier this month will resume work on 8 February following an agreement that will also see them receive a 10% salary increase. The pay bump is one of several issues that were addressed over the weekend following a labor dispute. The salary increment is effective as of the 31st of March.
According to Afrikaans daily newspaper Republicaan's front page, the Central Procurement Board of Namibia's administrative head Amon Ngavatene revealed on a Friday that there is no capacity to investigate whether companies that claim to own local manufacturing plants when they apply for clinical supplies are being honest. He said due to the amount of documentation received, it would be difficult for CPBN to verify existence of pharmaceutical plants, whether bidders' good standing for tax and social security is authentic, and whether they have authorization to supply. On the paper's page 2, it reports that State Prosecutor Antonia Verhoeven last week argued that double murders of Ernst Lichtenstrecher could not provide evidence of the alleged medical issues that had delayed a scheduled transfer from the Namib Tsumeb campus to campus in the Cape Manshwab. Now, Lichtenstrecher, who is on trial for the 2019 murder of Namib director Erkert Muller and Amo Helvig, had been ordered to report for work at the southern campus in March 2019, but due to health issues in April and following a sick leave about a month ago, had been reported again for work at the Tsumeb campus.
Now, the Allgemeine Zeitung leads with the City of Windhoek Council elections, which have led to the affirmative repositioning Landless People's Movement and Popular Democratic Movement breaking away as a faction that opposes the composition of the current management committee. The council elected National Unity Democratic Organization Councillor Joseph Owaipingene as Windhoek Mayor and Sopo Sam Shafishuna Nuyoma, Queen Kamati and Austin Kwenani as members of the management committee. The committee is supposed to be comprised of 5 members, but Magistrate Zan Klaassen accepted that since 3 members constitute a quorum, the 3 nominated members could be confirmed as duly elected, and the additional 2 members would be elected at the next council meeting. On its page 2, the Allgemeine Zeitung leads with the fact that the Nama and Herero tribal authorities, as well as the LPM party and its president Bernard Swartboy, late last week petitioned the Windhoek High Court to declare the joint Windhoek-Berlin Declaration and Agreement for Reconciliation and Reparations, which aims at concluding the results of the genocide dating back to 1904, as unlawful and non-binding as an arrangement between Namibia and Germany. Stay with us as we continue with the newspaper review after the break.
The Agenda is a weekly national affairs interview program hosted every Sunday by Namibian Sun editor Toyvon Jabela, featuring a panel of high-profile newsmakers, analysts, and experts. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact agenda@synergy.com.na. The Agenda, focused on today's conversation.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and oneup2.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Allgemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
Let's continue with our newspaper review. The Namibian newspaper reports on its front page that opposition parties have called on President Hage Geingob to cancel a 2.8 billion Namibian dollars medical supply tender with immediate effect. This come after reports were published detailing how businessman Shapwa Kanyama's company, Amnix Trading, has been awarded a 650 million Namibian dollar tender to supply government with 3 million surgical gloves valued at 400 million Namibian dollars and 108 million Namibian dollars condoms valued at 111 million. Popular Democratic Movement leader McHenry Vegnani has called for an investigation into the way the tender was awarded and raised concerns for possible insider trading. Flooding in Namibia's northern area headlines the paper's page 3, as it reports that a team of hydrologists has been deployed by the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform to monitor the situation in the flood-hit areas. Last week, the flood water caused 2 schools in the Engela constituency, Ongala Combined School and Shingunguma Primary School, to suspend classes because learners have to cross flooded streams to access the schools.
Now, the new era zooms in on the Namibia University of Science and Technology's male hostel, which has reportedly been dormant for over 2 years, following the institution's failure to renovate it. When the hostel shut its doors in 2020, boarding students were told major renovations would ensue. Now, allegations emerged that the renovation was internally sabotaged or was just a facade for something more sinister. Now, the paper's page 3 carries a shocking story of a teacher who is in police custody after a series of threats against his principal, colleagues and villagers. He also called his senior a witch, corrupt and stupid, according to the paper. In a separate story, the new City of Windhoek leadership will have to quickly deal with an alleged administrative blunder that has been dragging on for over a decade, and the Public Service Union has given the city until the end of January to pay about 10 million Namibian dollars to 18 staff members.
Market Watch reports that vehicle sales rose by 29.7% on the annual basis, but declined on a monthly basis by 8.6% in December 2022, according to Simonis Storm. A total of 952 units were sold in December 2022, below 6-month moving average, compared to 1,045 units sold in November 2022.
Now, U.S. Treasury estimated that a group of 7 led price cap on Russian crude oil and refined products to limit Russia's revenues could save the 17 largest net oil importing African countries $6 billion annually. This story coming up as we move on to economic news after this short break. Russia's war in Ukraine is hitting Africa particularly hard by exacerbating food insecurity and putting an unnecessary drag on the continent's economy, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said in Senegal's capital Dakar on Friday. Yellen said ending the war would be the best thing to help the global economy, but the Treasury estimated that a group of 7 led price cap on Russian crude oil and refined products to limit Russia's revenues could save the 17 largest net oil importing African countries $6 billion annually. Speaking at the start of a 3-country visit to Africa, Yellen said some emerging market countries were saving even more by using the price cap to negotiate steeper discounts with Russia, and the Treasury was encouraging others to follow suit. G7 countries and Australia implemented the oil price cap on December 5, banning the use of Western-supplied maritime insurance, finance and other services for cargoes priced above $60 per barrel. A further cap on Russian refined petroleum products such as diesel and fuel oil is due to take effect on February the 5th. Yellen said the United States was working with African leaders to mitigate the damage caused by Russia's illegal and unprovoked war in Ukraine, which along with COVID-19 has slowed growth and pushed millions of Africans into poverty and hunger.
Now in our next story, Nigeria's NNPC spent 4.39 trillion naira, equivalent to 9.7 billion US dollars on petrol subsidy last year. Latest data from the state-owned firm showed a cost the government has blamed for dwindling public finances. The NNPC did not remit funds to federal accounts last year. Its data showed leaving a hole in public finances at the time when the government has been warning that low revenues and larger deficit left it unable to stimulate the economy. Successive governments in Nigeria have tried and failed to remove or cut the subsidy, a politically sensitive issue in the country of 200 million people. Nigeria imports nearly all its refined fuels because local refineries were shut down due to years of neglect.
Let's have a look at the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar is up next to the US dollar and Chinese yuan, but maintained its value next to the British pound and the euro, trading at 18.62 Namibian dollars next to the euro. Most selected NSX stock closing prices managed to maintain their value, with First Rand Namibia at 33.01 points. Local index closed down 518.81 in that points range, and 0.12% was the downturn of the overall index. Looking at commodities, gold and zinc both closed down 0.20% and 1.07% respectively, whilst copper and Brent crude oil made some upticks.
Earlier, we spoke about the country's energy sector, and after the break, we highlight social issues as Nigeria will start its first national census in 17 years at the end of March. This story and more news from the African continent after the break. Stay with us.
Nigeria will start its first national census in 17 years at the end of March, as authorities in Africa's most populous country seek updated data on the exact population and the size of different ethnic groups, an official said late Friday. Now, Nigeria's estimated population is more than 200 million, and the United Nations expects that to double by 2050. That would make Nigeria the world's third most populous country, overtaking the United States. Census figures in Nigeria affect the sharing of oil revenues and political representation among the 36 states and 300 ethnic groups. Previous counts were discredited after disputes among the three main groups, the Fulani, Yoruba, and Igbo. Nasir Isakwara, chairman of the National Population Commission, told reporters census counting would be conducted from March 29 to April the 2nd, more than a month after Nigerians go to the polls to vote for a new president.
The mutilated body of a prominent Cameroonian journalist was found yesterday near the capital Yaoundé, 5 days after he was abducted by unidentified assailants, the press union and a colleague confirmed. Media advocates described Martinez Zongo's disappearance and death as a further sign of perils of reporting in the African country. Zongo, the director of a private radio station, Amplitude FM, was kidnapped on the 17th of January by unknown assailants. Zongo had recently been talking on air about a case of alleged embezzlement involving a media outlet with government connections, RSF said. The incident is the latest in a string of attacks against journalists in Cameroon, which has a vibrant press and which is ruled by President Paul Biya, who has a decade-long record of repressing opposition.
Thank you for staying with us. We're going to head into the local sports shortly. Sorry, international news rather, just before local sports. Now, a 72-year-old man killed himself when approached by police on Sunday, about 12 hours after he had carried out a Lunar New Year massacre at a dance club that left 10 people dead and another 10 wounded. The gunman tried to carry out another shooting at a separate club just minutes after the first one on Saturday night, but authorities said 2 bystanders wrestled the man's weapon away from him before any shots could be fired, and he thereafter fled the scene. Investigators did not yet know a motive, although gun violence is frequent in the United States. None of the victims had been identified, but the 5 men and 5 women appeared to be in their 50s, 60s and beyond. The sheriff said the pistol Tran used appeared to be illegal in California, where state laws ban any magazine holding of more than 10 rounds. As I said, we'll be heading into the local sports shortly.
Africa Good Morning is a current affairs program that brings you the latest from Southern Africa and beyond. News, economics, sport, weather, interviews, and so much more. For any advertising or news-related queries, contact agm@synergy.com.na. Africa Good Morning, bringing Africa to you.
Football pundit and marketing officer for the Southern Stream First Division, Ronnie Garweb, believes the Namibian international footballer Peter Shalulile has what it takes to scoop the Golden Boot accolade back-to-back. Garweb is confident that Shalulile more than likely spoke the top goal scorer award 3 times in a row. The reigning player of the season and top scorer in South Africa, Shalulile, is in 7-goal tie with Kaizer Chiefs Boniface Binyaminyana and Bradley Grobler of SuperSport United.
Trekos Kutier and Vera Lusa took to honor at the first Nedbank Venture Petal Power Race at the off-the-season of the Daughters Road on Sunday. Kutier put in a great performance, finishing more than 2 minutes ahead of Simon Pe, Kevin Lowe and Paul Zellberger, while Lusa beat a bunch of 5 riders in the spirit to the line.
And Valvich's legend Jacques Burger is among the chorus criticizing the new laws of England's Rugby Football Union that restrict tackles above the waist in all forms of the game below elite level. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We'll be back with the highlights shortly. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. Now, if you were watching the football yesterday, you were in the right place, as Eddie Nketiah's second goal at the 90th minute made sure that Arsenal stay 5 points on top of the league with a game to spare.
Now, Leeds United and Brentford played out a 0-0 draw in the Premier League at Elland Road on Sunday, as the hosts failed to move far from the relegation zone following a frustrating afternoon.
Well, after talking about Arsenal, now we can go to the highlights. See you soon.
The My.NA Cars Show provides viewers with the best in-class cars content, engaging interviews, as well as a showcase of the latest cars-related news, products, and services. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact my.na@synergy.com.na. My.NA Cars, more than just a ride.
Thank you very much for joining us. Here are the highlights from today's broadcast. Nigeria will start its first national census in 17 years at the end of March, as authorities in Africa's most populous countries seek updated data on the exact population and the size of different ethnic groups on an official newspaper said on Friday. A 72-year-old gunman killed himself when approached by police on Sunday, about 12 hours after he had carried out a Lunar New Year massacre at a dance club that left 10 people dead and another 10 wounded. Belgium's legend Jacques Berger is among the chorus criticizing the new laws of England's Rugby Football Union that restrict tackles above the waist in all forms of the game below elite level.
Those have been your highlights. Remember, you stand a chance to celebrate with NTV on the 8th of February as we turn 1. All you have to do is scan the QR code in the Allgemeine Zeitung, the Namibian Sun, or the Republican. Answer the question there and you stand a chance to win a range of DSTV prizes as well as a shopping voucher from Foschini. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every day from 1 p.m. and spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa, and the world. From Aina Raiza Kweyo and Ashwin Berry, see you tomorrow.